Smartsheet Engaged 18. And there is room downstairs in the Evergreen Ballroom ENF. Thanks for being here.
excited about learning all the new functionalities and how the interaction goes and the dashboard, the control center is just...
Oh, the new releases that we saw on the product roadmap, definitely.
To learn, network, find out what's coming.
Annapurna, the 10th highest mountain in the world. As a teenager, it was this book about the historic first ascent that sparked my imagination. The story of that adventure became my inspiration to be a climber. For the next decade, I committed nearly every waking hour to climbing, training to build the experience needed to be a high-altitude climber and ultimately ascend the world's highest peaks. Over the next 20 years, I would climb them all. Everest, K2, with Annapurna being my final, if not most challenging, ascent. For me, mountain climbing is not about summiting at all costs. It's about determining how best I can use the skills that I've developed to push my own limitations and discover just how far I can go.
There are other Annapurnas in the lives of men. This is the last sentence of this amazing book that I read almost 40 years ago. And what enamored me most was the fact that I read about a team of 8 climbers that literally stepped off the map, and for 3 months they worked together to elevate themselves to new heights, ultimately knowing that not all of them would go to the summit, but only 2 of them. And of the 2 to reach the summit, one of them was the leader and the author of the book, Maurice Herzog. And for me, he epitomized leadership. He led from the front, he led by example, he communicated with his team, and he as well allowed them to communicate with him as he made those critical and hard decisions as leaders do. I was so intrigued with this book that I dedicated my life to climbing. I was growing up in Illinois, for God's sake, and so I had to leave Illinois, and I moved here to Seattle, and I began learning the art of mountaineering. I started small, I climbed higher, and with every step that I took, I learned more about myself. How hard I could climb, how deep I needed to dig, how uncomfortable I needed to be for the sake of success. I decided as well to climb these high mountains without the use of oxygen. I wanted to climb Everest, I wanted to climb Annapurna. And when you climb to those heights, there's a price that you pay. We call it the currency of toil. I also decided that when I went on these expeditions, I would do these climbs under my own terms, but I would listen to the mountain as well, because ultimately you have to take in all the information that the mountain is giving you, the environment, the weather, the wind, the snow. Ultimately, the mountain decides what you get to do, and you have to listen to that. I call that listening to the mountain. In 1987, I eventually was invited to go on an expedition, and that was to climb Mount Everest. I was on a team of 8 people. We spent 3 months climbing Everest. Ultimately, 2 of us were selected to climb to the summit. I was one of the 2. And on that final summit day, as we gained altitude, slowly climbing higher and higher, the weather started to deteriorate to the point where we stopped, my partner and I. We had a meeting at 28,000 feet, and we had a discussion about what to do. We came up with the same rapid decision that we had to stop and turn around 300 feet from the summit. We listened to the mountain. I went back to Everest, and it was finally 3 years later on my 3rd trip to the mountain that once again I was allowed to try to go to the summit. From high camp to the top, it took me 12 hours. It was the hardest day of my life. I took 15 breaths per step to reach the top. But when I got there, I was elated. I'd lived a dream, a kid from Illinois standing on the highest point on earth. But I'd climbed the mountain under its own terms, just me and the mountain. After having climbed Everest, I decided to climb the remaining 13 8,000 meter peaks, a project that I called Endeavor 8000, which eventually took me 18 years to accomplish. And the final peak on that list was Annapurna. It was my hardest climb by far. But when I stood on the summit, I reflected back that 55 years earlier at that same spot, my hero stood, Maurice Herzog. My life, in essence, had come full circle. People often ask, why we climb. And for me, the simplest, easiest answer is to say, I like climbing because it's hard. I like the planning, I like the preparation, I like the training, I like the mystery of the unknown outcome. But that's what drives me to climb these mountains. And I think there's two main ingredients to success in any endeavor, especially climbing. Number one, teamwork. Number two, passion. I climbed to the summit of giants, but I stood on the shoulders of others. And if you surround yourself with good people, and if you have passion for what you do, it doesn't matter how long it takes. It doesn't matter how hard it is. And if you do that, you too can climb to the summit of your own Annapurna. Thank you.
Please welcome Smartsheet President and CEO, Mark Mader.
Thank you. Preparation, teamwork, the right information available at the right time, delivered in the right way. Rapid and accurate decision making. At Smartsheet, we believe that these are not only attributes like Ed described that help a climbing team ascend a mountain, but they're actually critical success factors to work teams. As a company whose purpose it is to empower everyone to improve how they work, connect, innovate, execute, Ed's experiences and stories resonate deeply. And it's why we've asked Ed to become our first ever Smartsheet Ambassador. And he's going to be representing us across the country, and when he comes to your area, I encourage you to see him. He's an amazing speaker, has amazing stories that will last with you. And nearer term, you can also see him at lunch today. Ed, thank you for being a part of Team Smartsheet. So while we are likely not climbing Everest or Annapurna next quarter, the work we do as business teams is challenging and is important. And that's why you're here with us this week. You're here to learn how we can help you and your business do more. How you can take that idea and actually generate impact with it. And sometimes you realize you can do something that you may not have thought was possible. It still happens. So with that, let me officially welcome you to Engage 2018. Thank you for joining us in Bellevue. For some of you, it is a long trip. And to do so, you believe in our company, and that means a lot to us. And most of all, we have to thank you for being customers. So while we have plans and we have all these things that we invest in, it is all for naught if you are not here. This is a really, really big day for us. And as we share what we're doing to help enhance so you can accomplish new things with Smartsheet, we need you to leave the event feeling educated, energized, and empowered to implement and share what you've learned. We're glad we're here. And we are very glad you are here. More than 2,000 of you have come to join us today. This is our Super Bowl, and we get to go to it every year. You are twice the size of last year's community. As I said, 2,000 people. So where do you all come from? All 50 states, 20 countries, 1,100 distinct companies, representing in aggregate 8 million employees. It's a big number. And the registration data this year again shows that we have over 50% of our audience members as women. And this diversity, yes. And this diversity in our community is a testament to the fact that Smartsheet empowers everyone, regardless of location, industry, role, everyone to improve how they work. We've doubled the number of sessions, we have product trainings, we have opportunities for you to learn from peers, bigger and better than last year. And that growth is reflective of the confidence you have in us to deliver for you. At the core of our business, as I said last year, we have core traits and philosophies: practicality, transparency, effectiveness, and accountability. You should see those traits in us and our team members, the sessions you attend, the discussions you have with us, and you have to hold us to these standards. And if you don't, you need to let us know. We need to know how we can improve. So the goals of Engage this year are quite clear. We need to deliver meaningful insights to you and the role we can play in digitally transforming your team and your organization, and to get you deeply engaged with this community. We are honored that you're here, and we look forward to a few great days with you. So since the end of Engage, a short 12 months ago, it has been an incredible year. As you may have seen, on April 27th, 2018, we went public on the New York Stock Exchange. And while that is an event and an important milestone, you got to put it in context. What does going public mean? What does it help you do? It gives you resources, and those resources allow you to scale product, innovate more quickly, bolster infrastructure, and invest in customer success to meet global demand. These are the things you get to do now that you're public. And the team has grown by more than 40% in the last year. Almost 1,000 people now on Team Smartsheet. And that ranges from Bellevue to Boston to Edinburgh, Scotland, and a whole bunch of cities in between. And what are we charged with? We're charged with your success. And we also are charged with putting on a memorable conference. And actually 500 of us, I think 550 of us, welcomed you with handwritten notes this year. People are ready to engage with you this conference. So back to being a public company. It actually lets us be more nimble on your behalf. We can move more swiftly. And evidence of that is the first acquisition we did at the end of last year. Converse AI allowed us to expand and deepen our capability set. And some of you have already realized these benefits. It's actually powering the integrations we have with the messaging platforms today. And you will be blown away. If you attend one of the 2 Converse sessions, your mind will be blown when you see what will be possible about natural language interaction with Smartsheet and even augmented reality. Who would have thought? The leadership position we have, and we're developing collaborative work management, is growing and becoming better understood by the market, by analysts who support us, and we're seeing that the applicability of what we do is cross-industry and cross-function. So in the vein of industries and sectors supported, we were honored just last week when the federal government announced Smartsheet as one of 4 companies selected to participate in their accelerated FedRAMP program. This gets us the right to certify and to support federal employees. And while this is a wonderful honor, it is a lot of work. Deep inspection. What's your infrastructure? What's your security? What are your processes? Who are your people? So we pay that tax, and guess what? You all get to benefit. Hardening of the business. And the other great thing that's happened this last year, product innovation has accelerated dramatically, both in terms of breadth and depth, and the use cases we can now put forward are bigger than ever. And trust me, after 12 years, I recognize every single year there is a lot of room to improve. But I will also be quick to say, with 1,000 people, $200 million on the balance sheet, we are better to respond than ever before. So for many of you, Smartsheet has evolved from being a great tool that you use by teams to get work done. But we're also seeing it now grow into more strategic, critical operations within businesses. And as I've sat with some senior level execs and we've discussed what is the role Smartsheet can play in tracking and managing initiatives, we see some exciting developments. So one example, CrowdStrike, a leader in security. They set its organizational course in Smartsheet every single year. So what does that mean? Top-line strategic plans and objectives outlined by group, key programs to support those objectives identified, and key results they aim to achieve, documented, socialized, and agreed to, all in Smartsheet. So I'm sure this goals and objectives process is something you've probably gone through in your career. And what we found sometimes is that it sort of gets shoved into the metaphorical desk drawer after it gets agreed to. only to resurface, hey, we have that planning cycle to do again this year. Hey, how did we do, Dan? How did we do against those objectives? And they serve too little utility sometimes, and at times it feels like a little bit of a waste of time and energy. So George Kurtz, the CEO of CrowdStrike, and his CEO set out to transform this function within the business and to operationalize the process of taking objectives and putting those into a living, breathing, collaborative mechanism through which they can keep their teams engaged and accountable. So Smartsheet's ability to track expectations, commitments, performance in real time, and in this transparent and interconnected way keep people together is actually helping CrowdStrike manage its very, very high growth. But I would argue CrowdStrike is no different in some respects to the 1,100 companies represented today. And that key sameness is that they're not settling. And neither are we as a company. The evolution of our capabilities is intentional and strategic. And you'll learn a lot about these investments from Gene and other members of our team. And as a daily user of the product myself, I also love the new capabilities. And I'm really excited to hear from you this afternoon, tonight, tomorrow about which ones inspire you and how you plan to put those to work. So in a world more than ever where software products have to live together, they do, we use many of them, the signal we receive is unmistakably clear. Business users and IT are seeking and deploying the tools that are best fit for the job. And they're holding companies like us accountable for maintaining those bridges in an effective and valuable way. They want to see the services they trust well integrated and running as smoothly as possible. And as we talk to customers, it sounds a little bit like this. Hey, Smartsheet, we'd love you to be able to model and track and capture and report out on this. And we want to do that alongside our name your favorite CRM company. And we want to talk about it in name your favorite messaging tool. This is how people are talking today. And they want us to be the execution engine, capturing, tracking, managing, automating, scaling. And what they decidedly don't want is a lot of blurring of the lines. So if I deeply understand and love something, don't show up at my door and say, stop using Microsoft 365, unshare from that Google Doc, stop using Slack. No, quite the contrary. They want us to work as the best of breed and those solutions to be adjacent to our work execution environment. So with that in mind, I want to talk about one specific area of innovation, and that is the area of messaging apps. And these integrations will remain very important to us because messaging beyond email will be a fact of life for all of us. And one of the little known facts is it's actually a diverse environment. Google Chat, Hangouts, Teams, part of our responsibility is to serve as a mechanism for bringing these together. So I want to take a moment to unpack something I said earlier, and that is that our overarching purpose is to empower everyone to improve how they work. Not just those who are technically inclined. One of my favorite terms, if you've been around me, is this notion of the mythical citizen developer, of which there are maybe 1.8% of us in the room. And I think for a platform to have maximum positive impact, it needs to reach beyond developers. And when I say reach, I don't mean a system that's customized by a developer, then is then consumed by business users. That's not reach. We want everyone, developers and business users, to have the opportunity to manage, to automate, and to scale work themselves. And do so that the majority of the workforce can elevate. Empowerment is a powerful word, because when you feel it, when you achieve that empowerment, it's like you got an unlock code, and that unlock code lets you create new experiences for you, your teams, and your customers. But I will also say that empowerment is somewhat of a personal term because it's somewhat shaped by the lens you look through. So the experiences I've had, the situation I'm in, causes me to define empowerment in a certain way. So what I'm curious about is I want to understand when you think about empowerment, or you think about something that you've done that's been the result of you being empowered, what do you think of? So who would like to tell us about empowerment? Right here? Archie? Empowerment. The luck on the spot. Engage. That's the name of the conference.
I think empowerment.
Stand up, Archie. Thanks.
I think empowerment is giving your people the tools, the resources, your time, and your effort to make them successful, to kind of sum it up.
And Archie, who are you with?
Texas Electric Cooperatives.
Okay, great. Yeah, the thing I like about what you just said is when I think about giving people the tools, like you as a capable person can empower people, right? You can help them, but teaching them how to fish and getting them effective, massively impactful. Who else wants to share a tidbit on empowerment? Okay, right behind me, who do we have?
I'm Stephanie.
Hey, Stephanie, who are you with?
I'm with Oregon Fairway Partners in Portland, Oregon.
Okay, great.
For me, I think that empowerment has a lot to do with ownership. So it's empowering your employees to own the results and own the process that goes into that. So for us, when we empower our employees, we allow them to kind of take control of their own process and show us what they can do. And when they feel like they own it, they feel empowered.
I love it. I love it. One of the themes we're talking about internally right now is decentralized decision making so that we can actually scale and continue to accelerate. And I think without what you just said, it becomes very, very difficult. Okay, was there a hand on the far side? Okay, someone's going to have to say again? Okay, get my cardio today. Very good. My one workout of the week.
Paul Farrell from Rohde & Schwartz. We're a Munich-based company. We build broadcast transmitters, and about a year and a half ago, we had single-digit market presence in the United States, much more globally. Because repack, I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but it's replacing a lot of transmitters in the United States to make more bandwidth for cell companies. We now have 53% of the market. A year and a half ago, we recognized that we were going to have to scale up our management of that. And I brought in a junior program manager that works for me. It was our first program management job. We decided to use Smartsheet to manage 100, right now it's 213 stations that we're implementing. And we went from 0 to managing that, and she basically controls over $100 million worth of business as a junior program manager using Smartsheet.
Love it.
That's empowerment.
Thank you for sharing that. What's really impressive about that, the thing that I'll remember from your story, it's one thing to go from 80 to 100, from 0 to something significant. I can appreciate the difficulty and the challenge. Thanks. So is this idea of broad organizational empowerment a challenging goal to achieve? Yes. It's really, really, really hard. But when you think about the alternative, do we want to go after enabling just a really small subset of a company? I mean, is that a bold, let's climb Everest aspiration? Ed would challenge us on that one. And when I think about doing hard things, it actually really brings out the best in teams. And that helps us perform, that helps us achieve amazing things. And when I think back 12 years, I'm looking at one of our co-founders in the front row here, at the little yellow house where Smartsheet was a startup. I remember sitting around the table, I think we referred to it as the boardroom, all 6 employees were there, and we talked about the practical innovation that we committed to one another we would never veer from. And the practical innovation really stemmed from being enterprise, but not being too enterprise-y. And the enterprise-y is like friction, complexity, too many dials, don't really understand what to do with it. And giving people the opt-in to power as opposed to thrusting it upon them. And we constantly remind ourselves that our job and our duty to practical innovation is to us evolve our product and do it in a way that reflects what you've told us is important to your business. So we seek broad impact, clearly, and we want to seek relevancy in your business. And from the thousands of use cases that we're seeing you put forward, you seem to agree. So you are utilizing the platform in such a diverse number of ways. It's quite incredible. And today, we're going to have, at the conference, we're going to have over 50 customers tell us their stories, many more than we had last year. So when I think about this practical innovation, I think about, so how do we know we're actually hitting the mark? It's when customers come up with quotes like this. Smartsheet made her the queen of the world. I mean, that is a big statement. That is big. Like, do not get in her way. And I got to tell you, I told my 2 daughters this. I'm like, I really wish I'd come up with this one. I get out of bed in the morning with a warrior mindset. Smartsheet is my sword. And Brandon, I will be taking that line from you multiple times. Or another favorite one, we have so much going on all over the world. Smartsheet has, let me rely a little bit less on Xanax. So while decreasing the usage of that drug is not our sole mission in life, we do appreciate what we're doing for Sunny, Brandon, and the millions of others who are achieving things. So Smartsheet, we believe, was created to play a leading role in the future of work. It's a new vision for work. It's a way to empower people and teams in their companies to transform. And when I hear the word work, I sometimes think of something that's exhausting, but it can also be exhilarating. Like, exhilaratingly hard is not a bad thing, I don't think. So what I challenge us to do is, let's try and change the culture of work, step at a time, right? And the goal has been for us to improve really the perception of it. And how do we take it from something that we have to do to something that we should do? And how do you get away from something that needs to be done to something that gets to be pursued? It's got a more positive spin to it. And work as being less of an obligation and maybe something that's rewarding, at least part of the time. I know we can't have it all the time. And while we can't control what you have to do, I think we can play a meaningful role in helping you get it done. So over the last decade, there's a term that's been thrown about quite a bit. And you see me smiling, right? It has a little place in my heart. And that is the term digital transformation. Who's heard of the term? Okay, there we go. All the hands go up. And in my view, this term has actually led to a little bit of hype and confusion, especially for business users. Now, when you talk to CIOs and tech leaders, in many cases, that's their North Star. That's the thing against which they measure success. But I would say for business users, it's a little bit harder to wrestle to the ground. Like, what does it mean to me? And have we transformed by moving a digital file to the cloud? I mean, have we transformed by having email in the cloud now? Have we transformed by sharing a Prezo online? Maybe, but maybe not. And I think the difference between a convenience win and material change, impactful change, is something that I use to delineate between digitization and transformation. Now, digitization can absolutely be a precursor to transformation. But back to CrowdStrike and the 1,100 of you, do not settle. Do not settle. Take out that Smartsheet sword, thank you, Brandon, and go further. You got to do more, and you can actually do it. Digital transformation is about reimagining work, and it only carries power to the extent that you have material and quantifiable change. Changes in speed, changes in the people who build the solutions, and changes in the scale of the impact it has. Now, these changes, they're step changes. They're not just changes, step changes that are each key markers of transformation. Now, let me share with you one example that talks about speed, scale, and enabling people. So a couple weeks back, especially those of you who are from the United States, you heard about Florence, Hurricane Florence, barreling towards the mid-Atlantic. So we got a call from the North Carolina Department of Transportation. They said, hey, we have a problem out here, and we have an idea, and we'd like a little bit of counsel from you on how to do it. So what do? As a team, they created a set of dashboards, and on the dashboards, they had information around power, fuel, and runway status from every single regional and state airport. To whom was this dashboard shared? How about FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency? How about the U.S. Coast Guard? How about the state governor's office? So instead of worrying about the logistics on the ground, those teams could focus on citizen well-being. Now, in that situation, good old Mother Nature did not let that team build an app, but they did have time to configure Smartsheet. So when I see a state agency working at light speed, I would call that transformational. Now, I will be quick to say that I don't think our team or their team at that time had transformation on their minds. They had a problem they had to solve right now. And while they were setting out to solve that problem, the problem they solved was actually done in a transformational way. And in speaking at execs from our customers, it's quite interesting what they're saying. They're looking for wins. They're looking to their teams to bring forward observed opportunities for change. And what I hear over and over again is they're encouraging people to surface them, large or small, ways in which they can move their organizations forward faster. And I think it's important to know, when I hear transformation, I do usually think of transformation organizationally, but that is a big, daunting thing. Start small. Do one thing. Do one transformational thing and let that cascade. Rarely is transformation defined by a single bet that wins. Place many, see which ones pay off, and then invest like mad behind those. So here's the challenge that I'm going to ask you while you're here. What are you going to discover? What use case are you going to find? What are you going to take back to your organization to initiate a small piece of transformation that can lead to something much more significant? There's going to be a ton shared at this through lessons, through lunches, even at the social events, I'm sure. The question is, what's going to inspire you? And more importantly, what's going to compel you to take action? So to kickstart that learning, I'd like to ask Brian Langford from Roche Diagnostics to join me on stage to tell a story about impactful change. Hi, Brian. Nothing was going to stop you today, was it?
No, absolutely
Love it.
not. Yeah.
So tell us, the story you shared with me last night was pretty incredible about what your team has done. Share a little bit about what you do for your customers.
Yeah, sure. So Roche Diagnostics, we are in the global leader in the pharmaceutical and diagnostics business. And as we were looking to the challenges that our customers were facing, the healthcare space is obviously changing rapidly, and our customers are undergoing transformation that isn't just a new technical solution, a new medical innovation, but the change that happens in the industry with consolidation impacts, again, not only technology, but it impacts process, and it also impacts very broadly their culture. So what we have done is really work to bring a solution powered by Smartsheet that helps transform that entire customer experience and deliver a value-based solution for customers and ultimately for each of you as patients.
So I love, Brian, that you talked about the customer impact first. Tell me what's happened inside for the team. What's the team sentiment?
Yeah, absolutely, for the team. So as we started this journey with Smartsheet and transforming our process with customers, our internal team, we're a little skeptical at first of, hey, we know how to project manage, we're professionals. But honestly, as we dove into it, what the team has found is that the improvement in speed, the access to one source of information that is transparent across not only our internal organization and each of those functions, but it's transparent to the customer. That increases the speed of decision, the quality of decision making, the timeliness of implementations, and ultimately the quality of that solution. Not only has it improved their professional delivery, but it's also allowed them to be much more effective and productive and improved their personal balance and their personal confidence.
So Brian, when you make an investment in a team member or a customer or an investment in a program, how do you measure those results? And what impact have you seen from it?
Yeah, indeed. That's the magic circle there of how do you measure that. And we clearly are moving towards Net Promoter Score and understanding at each phase of the journey, what's that customer's experience, because that's the differentiator. It is a way to try to quantify something that's qualitative, but we also look at something simply as our productivity of our product managers. And since we have started this evolution and journey and transformation with Smartsheet and our overall implementation solutions, we've actually seen our project managers be able to handle 3 times the amount of implementations and customer installation units per se with the same manpower.
Amazing. Thank you, Brian, for sharing.
Thank you.
And if you're lucky enough to sit next to Brian at lunch, wealth of knowledge. So folks like Brian and the people on his team, these are folks who are getting it done. And when we refer to folks who get it done, there's a term we're using internally called catalyst. And the catalyst is not just a pontificator. The catalyst actually engages and follows through. And we have many catalysts in the room today. By investing to come here, you're showing signs of being a catalyst. And very often the catalyst is like that point guard on a team. So why point guard? Well, the point guard needs to be that elite player, but they're also responsible about making those players around them highly effective. And I think that's part of our job and part of your job. How do you play that point guard role in your organization? And we have catalysts today in 190 countries. all over the world. It still blows my mind that it has such reach. And those catalysts are not just exercising their own abilities, they're again expecting us as a provider to empower them in ways they think are more impactful. So about 18 months ago, we wanted to come up with a way to actually celebrate and highlight these catalysts. So we created a certification program, and in those months, 3,100 people have gone through that process. I think we have 100 certified users in the audience today, and another 201 who are up for certification this week. So if those 100 and 201 people are in the room, could you please stand for a moment? We want to recognize you. Well done. So while those of you in the room represent a broad diversity in companies, things that you're pursuing, let's remember to open our minds over the next few days as to what's possible. Open yourself up to the opportunity to learn. There will be something or things that you take. And remember that you came to this meeting because you are a connector. Don't be planted in the phone or the tablet. Speak to people. There's a lot of knowledge to be shared. And one thing is we talk about Smartsheet and we talk about you and your role. We also need to highlight 6 companies that have helped put on this event. And those are our sponsors. So I'd like to say thanks to AWS, Google Cloud, Microsoft, Oracle, NetSuite, Salesforce, and Slack. And the relationships with these companies is on a couple dimensions. One is engage partners, and we're also working closely with their teams to figure out how to build those better bridges so that we can deliver a unified experience for you. So over the next hour or so, we're going to be showing a lot of new capabilities. Very excited to see those. And you'll see innovations, and you'll see use cases highlighting those capabilities. And one of those use cases that I'd like to highlight before we head into the product section is that of Office Depot. In meeting Jerry Smith, their CEO, and members of his team a few months ago, I learned about the massive transformation that's undergone at this $10 billion retailer. I was really impressed. My whole image of Office Depot shifted. Hey, do you know how hard it is to change a $10 billion business, which has been grounded in warehouse and transactions, to try and deliver experiences in an omni-channel way? Changing the engines while the plane's in flight, heard of that one? Yeah, well, it's happening at Office Depot, and we're very proud to play a small role in helping enable that. Let's take a look at the video.
I started in the fall of 2016 and stepped into the completion of our merger of Max and Office Depot's supply chain. I'm the director of the Supply Chain Project Management Office as well as the Business Transformation Group. As we move from a retailer into a services-led company, we're really seeing that's where our ability to disrupt some markets, provide some services and value to our small and medium businesses that aren't available today. A lot of people talk about efficiency, but when you start to move from efficiency to effectiveness, you start to drive and deliver better and faster outcomes. That need for execution, that need to drive a fast, solid outcome is really what drove my team into the integrating Smartsheet into our approach. One of the things that really hooked me with Smartsheet as we started to leverage the platform was the fact that innovation comes from the users. What it's enabled us to do is come together on some core principles and then drive that visibility cross-functionally. We've been able to take the 6 to 8 week process that is involved with the network strategy. We've reduced the time to 24 to 72 hours. When you think about empowering work groups to change, to innovate, and most importantly, to deliver value to our customers, what better platform than one that allows them the freedom to do so? Our business is changing, our markets are changing, and we are changing with them.
Thanks very much for the opportunity to help us drive to your objective. So with that, now we're going to talk about the things that some of us have probably been waiting for. Let's talk about some capabilities. So with that, Gene, our head of product. Thank you, Gene. Congrats.
Thanks. I cannot tell you how excited I am to be here today. Since last year's Engage, really right after last year's Engaged, I circled this date on the calendar because I knew we would be working over this coming year to get ready for this day, to share with you all the capabilities that we heard that you needed last year at this event. And I almost can't wait. But I got to say, I also loved hearing about how you talked about empowerment. This concept of ownership and providing opportunity for individuals to do things that they didn't think were possible. When I think about empowerment, there's a quote that I like that talks about that and how opportunity is what allows folks to be able to actually change how they work and how they live. One of the ways that Smartsheet helps you do that is we actually give you the ability to take back time. You're probably saying, wait a minute, time machine? No, we're not launching a time machine today. We let you take back time through automation. And last year, we introduced a number of automated actions to help you do that. First were automated update requests. So instead of having to manually go and submit update requests when you needed information from your team or a participant in a process, you were able to automate those based on a specific condition or trigger. Second were approval requests. So when a new opportunity came in or a new contract needed to be approved, you could automate that entire workflow. And we have customers that have told us that they have saved hours per day just through those simple automations that we launched last year. So it's been really cool to see how customers are using those automations. The Office Depot example you just saw, PayPal is leveraging our automations to actually do their C-suite updates on a frequent basis. GE Renewable Energy is using these automations to actually manage their wind turbine business. But like every capability we've introduced since really the founding of Smartsheet, you have not been shy about telling us what you'd like to see more of. In fact, if I had to sum it up, I would say in one word, you'd like more. More triggers, more automated actions to build more powerful automations. Now, the good news is we've already started to deliver on those asks. Earlier this year, we introduced a lock row functionality, which is really, really helpful when you're running an approval request and you want to actually lock down the information in a sheet after something's been approved. Today, we're announcing 3 new capabilities. Wait for it. Time-based triggers. These allow you to actually trigger automations based on a specific date. A new unlock row action, which gives you the ability to automate the movement of a row based on a particular condition. And then the ability to actually move a row when something's completed. Now, the other piece of feedback we got was that when you started automating your work, the workflow builder that we launched last year that was really simple and straightforward and great for the first few rules, actually got a little hard to manage when you tried to add, say, 10 rules on a sheet. It gets a little confusing, right? Hard to understand how the rules are interacting. I'm seeing a lot of head nodding. So we talked to you guys. You said, hey, how do we fix this? And you were really clear. You'd like to see visual workflow builder so you can actually visualize the whole workflow in the process and each step along the way, how the conditions interact and how those rules work together. Now that's tricky, right? Because building a visual workflow builder requires that you do it in a way that is intuitive and easy to understand, really powerful, but not overwhelming, right? How many folks have ever seen a user experience with all sorts of knobs and dials and you're not really sure where to start, and after you try a few things and nothing works, you kind of give up? That's what we were trying to avoid. So we've spent a lot of time in research really understanding how to build a great visual workflow builder. And I think we've actually achieved that right balance of power and beautiful simplicity. So to help me demonstrate our new automation capabilities, I'd like to invite Scott, the head of our automation team, to the stage to help us walk through some of these capabilities. Scott?
Hey, Gene. As Gene mentioned, we've done a ton of research on the visual workflow design, and I'm proud of what our team has created. Halloween is coming, and those candy displays are going to start popping up in all of the stores. And as our retail customers will tell you, it's important that those displays are consistent from one store to the next. I'm going to show you how we can use Smartsheet to manage consistency checks on those displays across dozens or hundreds of stores. I've got a sheet that has my stores in it that we need to perform a check on the display in. And in the Visual Workflow Builder here, the first thing we see is a trigger. The trigger determines when the workflow should run. I might want to run a workflow when something's added to the sheet, such as maybe a promotion is added through a form. Or I might want to run a workflow when something changes. Maybe a work item changes from one step in the process to the next. With today's release, I can now choose a specific date that I want to run a workflow on. I can enter a specific date, or I can choose a field from my sheet. In this case, I have a check date field that determines when we want to perform the display check. Now, if we've already asked somebody to check this display and they've done that, I don't want to bother them again. And that's what conditions are for. So I've got another field in this sheet that's the status that determines whether the check has been performed or not. So for conditions, I'm going to go down and grab the status field, and only if the status hasn't been provided, or maybe if a follow-up is requested, we'll continue on to the action. So with the action, here I could lock or unlock a row, I could send an alert to somebody, or I could request more information. In this case, I'm going to send an approval request. I can send out an approval request to anybody with an email address. They don't even have to be a Smartsheet user. Or I can select from a field in my sheet. In this case, we'll ask the store manager to perform the check. And I can include instructions to that store manager, letting them know what I'd like them to approve. So that's a demonstration of the new Visual Workflow Builder and date-based triggers, which is available to everyone today. Great.
Now, Scott, that's really cool and powerful. But these folks came and said they wanted more. And one of the things that I heard from feedback was they wanted to see multi-step workflows. Now, I know that's still kind of under development. Team's been working on it. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good about it, Gene.
You guys want to see more? We want more. We want more. We want more. Okay, Scott, show it to them.
All right.
So the scenario, I'll set this up while Scott's building it. So let's play that retail scenario again. You know, when you're running a promotion around a specific date, there's a couple of critical things that have to happen to actually execute. First is you want to confirm that the materials to support the promotion get to the store on time, right? Are they there? Are you going to be able to execute? And then second, you want to be able to ensure they actually get installed so your customers can see it and know where to find the candy promotion or the back-to-school promotion or whatever you're supporting. So here you see Scott is setting up the first step in the process, which is confirming. Actually, he's way ahead of me.
Yeah.
First, he went through and confirmed, has the material been received at the store? If the answer is no, he can send an alert to the logistics team to then go track down that package or send a replacement. If the answer is yes, he moves to the next step of the process, which is to confirm that it's actually been installed. If the answer is yes, great, check down, ready to go for the promotion. If the answer is no, he sends a notification to the marketing ops team to get some folks out to the store to get it installed. Super excited, wow, nice configuration. So. Multi-step approvals will be available before the end of the year, and we are super excited to see how you guys are going to use these to actually further automate your business process and work. Now, I'm counting on you guys were paying attention to the sheet when Scott was configuring that. Did anybody notice anything different? I heard a couple of yeses. So something that folks have been asking for quite a while has been the ability to assign multiple contacts to a particular deliverable or row. Now, I know there are a lot of project management gurus out there who will tell you there should never be more than one owner for a particular item on a project, right? Anybody heard that? Well, that may be a best practice, but what we find is customers use Smartsheet for thousands of use cases. And many of those use cases are actually really well served by being able to update or notify a group of individuals when something changes. And so today, we are really excited to announce multiple contact assignment. And if you can go back to the sheet that Scott had up, when you hover on a row, you can see all the contacts have been assigned, and then you have the option to actually wrap that text so you can see everybody in row. It adds a little width to the sheet. So really excited to see how you use this. And we definitely heard you when you said you wanted more there. Now, this is really powerful, but one other thing we've heard is you want the ability to let somebody know when somebody's added a comment to a sheet that affects them, right? Something that a lot of other messaging apps have called app mentions. And so the other thing that we were able to get in for today is the very first step in our app mentions capabilities. And that is the ability to app mention someone in a row comment. And so what I'd like you to do, Scott, if you could, I'd like you to demonstrate how we add a comment to a row and app mention Amy Frampton, our head of marketing. Amy's actually out in the field right now, checking some stores, getting a little input on what's happening for back to school. And so let's ask her to go ahead and take some pictures of a display out in the store. So Amy's gonna, when Scott posts that comment, Amy will actually get a notification in Smartsheet or on her preferred messaging app that she has a new row comment that she's been mentioned in, and it'll prompt her to go check that comment. So Amy's out on the go, right? So she's actually using Smartsheet on our mobile app. And that's another area where you've told us you want to see more. Mobile is continuing to grow in use. It's an area where, there's a ton of use cases where you're out in the field or you're traveling and you want to be able to do things in Smartsheet. And so last year we launched a completely redesigned mobile app. And that was a good first step. Earlier this year, I think in July, we launched Edit and Grid. Anybody use Edit and Grid in mobile yet? Awesome. For me, it's been a game changer, right? I can do so much more now, and approvals and adding content, updating is so much easier editing in Grid versus through the old forms-based. So we're really excited about what we've done, but we're not done. We think there's a lot more to do. And so what I'd like to do is actually go almost live to Amy out in the field to share some of the new capabilities that we're launching in mobile. Amy, you there?
Hey, Gene. Hey, everybody. I'm super excited to show you this. Let's head on in. So I'm here at the display that Gene wanted me to check out. And one of the great things about our new mobile forms is if you're working remote or on site, you can get great information back to your home office or to your team super easily. So I'm going to bring up the form by scanning a QR code, and up pops the form. I'm going to enter in the information that Gene needed. And then one of our new capabilities on forms is you can scan a barcode. So I'm going to do that. And that will connect the exact display with the information that I entered in. I'm going to take a photo of how it looks and add that into the form as well. Now I'm going to hit submit, and all of that information goes back into Smartsheet, and Gene can take a look. So now I'm in our new mobile card view, and I'm going to take this task and I'm going to move it from pending to complete. And now, Gene, you've received in Slack a notification that this is all done.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy. We're sorry you can't be here to see all the smiles on folks' faces.
Actually, I am here.
Wow, that was fast.
Frampton Almost Live is what they called it. I'm thrilled to see all of your smiles. Now, mobile forms and barcode scanning in forms are available today, and mobile card view will be available by the end of the month. We're excited to see what you do with these.
Thank you, Amy. I am super fired up about mobile card view. This is something the team's been working on for a while. We've invented some really cool navigation between rows that makes it really easy to manage a group of card lanes, or actually a fairly big group of lanes, easily on a mobile device. And there's a few customers I can think of, like Cisco and Adidas, that are going to be really excited to hear about this because, frankly, they've been asking for more here for quite some time. So we just went through a ton of great new capabilities in the area of empowerment. Let's check the scoreboard and see where we are. So available today, we have date-based triggers, unlock row, visual workflows, multi-assigned to, app mentions, mobile forms, and mobile barcode scanning. Coming soon will be multi-step automation, move row cell actions, card view on mobile, and a new Microsoft Teams integration for our messaging framework. Anybody feeling empowered yet? Well, let's not stop there. I heard you when you said you wanted more. Let's talk about speed. Now, I talk to a lot of customers. It's one of my favorite things to do. One thing I have never heard a customer say is, I wish my teams could just move a little slower. We just get too much done. Everything, we're too fast. Speed is critical with business, right? And in fact, it's a requirement for transformation. Transformation without speed is simply just evolution. So I've heard many of you say the thing you value most about Smartsheet is how we help you get started quickly and have impact quickly. Earlier this year, we launched Smartsheet Solution Center. Smartsheet Solution Center today contains 141 different templates or template sets to help your users get started really quickly with Smartsheet. Since launch a few months ago, over 210,000 templates or template sets have been downloaded by you to start new workflows in Smartsheet. That's pretty amazing. But you've also told us you want more. Templates and template sets are not enough. You want to solve higher value use cases, more complex workflows. And that's why we launched Smartsheet Accelerators. Smartsheet Accelerators bring together a multitude of Smartsheet assets, from sheets to forms to reports to dashboards. And they're actually based on best practices from the industry and our experiences in professional services. And we bring those together in packaged solutions that are really easy to deploy against really high value opportunities. So we launched our first 3 accelerators in July for IT PMO, professional services onboarding, and M&A integration. Initial customer response has been amazing. And one of our customers, Brian Vaughn from Beckman Coulter, is here to share with you his experience with the Professional Services Accelerator. Brian? Good, good. So Brian, thanks for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about Beckman Coulter and your role at the company.
Okay, so Beckman Coulter is a biomedical device manufacturer. We manufacture instruments that if you ever go to your doctor's office and have your blood drawn, chances are our instrumentation created the results that you got for those tests. I manage a team of implementation managers and associates of about 200 people that implement those and install those devices all across the United States. And we found out that we really had a challenge where we were having no standardization in the way that we were implementing our products.
Great. So tell us how you came to find accelerators and what you were trying to solve with it.
Yeah, so we found that we were trying to implement and be able to install all of these products using email, communication, and Excel spreadsheets and Word documents, and the communication was really ineffective and we just were not finding that we were able to get to what we needed to. And so we ended up going to find Smartsheet and eventually Accelerator.
Excellent, excellent. And so tell us a little bit about how the Accelerator rollout went. Was it fast?
Yeah, so we were paired up with the Smartsheet Accelerator team, and initially we were told, I remember Travis telling me very clearly it was going to take about 2 to 3 weeks to be able to build and implement Accelerator, and I said, no way, it's just not going to happen. I'm not an IT person, I don't have an IT team, but going back to that empowerment comment, it was easy to see that the product and your team was able to pair with us, and we were able to implement that within the time that we indicated, and we also were able to just basically roll it out to an organization of about 2,000 to 3,000 people within a month.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. So what results have you seen so far with Accelerators?
So we are phasing this product out in our organization. I have a core team of 13 project managers, and we just completed phase 1 with that team. We have those 13 project managers manage about 6 to 8 projects a piece, and we were just last week able to convert over 25 of their live projects in using Accelerator in a day.
Wow, that's awesome.
So with that, we have seen the entire organization already start to indicate to us that they're seeing benefits in time of their day that's actually spent getting things done, not chasing down information. My project managers have said that they are getting time back in their day that they have otherwise lost.
That's amazing. That is really awesome. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Great. I always love to hear customers talk about how we can have an impact on their business. So with the momentum we're seeing with Accelerators, we thought you might want some more. So today, we're announcing 3 new Accelerators. Available today is an Accelerator for customer engagement, and then later this year, we'll have an Accelerator for sales rep onboarding and sales forecasting. So how many of your organizations struggle with decision making? Anyone? One of the challenges we hear sometimes is just how hard it is to make decisions in the moment. And usually it's because the folks that need to make the decision don't have the right information, or they don't trust the information that they have. Now, this is an area where we think Smartsheet can help. Earlier this year, we launched our dashboards with charts to provide real-time visibility into the status of work as it's happening, enabling faster, better decisions. And since launch, we've seen a really significant uptake in the use of our dashboards. In fact, dashboard creation has gone up 2x, and viewing is up over 3x. So I think we're hearing loudly from our customers, you really like to see that real-time visibility and the status of what's happening in Smartsheet. But you've also not been shy about telling us you'd like a little more. You'd like more data types, more connectors, the ability to visualize information from other systems, more flexibility, and frankly, more insights. So to deliver on those asks, today we're announcing 4 new capabilities. A new data connector for Tableau, data uploader that lets you connect to and synchronize data from almost any system, a new Dynamics connector, Microsoft Dynamics connector, and a web content widget. To explain more about these capabilities, I want to share with you a video from our product team explaining how these are going to work.
Hey Gene, we are so excited to show the folks at Engage 18 what we've been working on. Madison, let's show them the web content widget.
Sure. Our dashboards are even better than before. You can now embed web content like Google Slides and have access to everything in one place. See? I've got my Microsoft documents, a YouTube video, and Smartsheet forms all in one dashboard. We are also launching 2 new Smartsheet connectors today, along with a data uploader. Here's the Tableau data that we pushed through the new Tableau connector.
You know, you could also pull in data using the Microsoft Dynamics connector or data uploader.
That's right. Let's show some sales data and add it to the dashboard.
I think our customers are going to love all of these new capabilities and having even more information at their fingertips. In fact, the video we are in right now is actually inside of a dashboard. We hope that everyone has a great Engage 18.
I got to say, the web content widget is one of the funnest things that we've built so far this year. It actually came out of a Hack the Sheet project that our engineering team did a few months back, and people were so energized by the idea that they just said, hey, we got to go get this ready for Engage. And so thrilled to be delivering that to you today, and actually can't wait to see how you use it. Now, those are available today, but we're not done. We just went through a whole bunch of new capabilities around driving more speed. So let's take a look at the scoreboard, see where we are. So available now are the accelerators for customer engagement, the new web content widget, the Tableau integration and Microsoft Dynamics integrations, a data uploader, and a connector for in-app queues. Coming soon, we'll have an accelerator for sales rep onboarding and accelerator for sales forecasting. So we're racking up some points here, a little empowerment, a little bit of speed. Anybody feel like moving fast? Now, for the folks that know me, they know I am not a big fan of slow. I love to go fast. So these are probably the things I'm most excited about. But as our business has grown, and we've expanded to a broader set of workflows and use cases, we've really come to understand the importance of scale. Scale's about being able to manage with consistency in both deployment and in being able to manage change at high volumes. I think an amazing example of this is right here in our backyard with a customer of ours called Mod Pizza. Anybody folks been to a Mod Pizza recently? Awesome, awesome pizza. Stands for Made on Demand. Well, when Mod was a little startup just starting out, opening a handful of stores a year, they would use Smartsheet to actually manage their whole new store opening process. And when you're managing the opening of that many stores, 5, 6 stores a year, you can hand roll it, right? It's pretty straightforward. You create a template, you can wire it all together, it all just works. But when their business took off, and they needed to open hundreds of restaurants a year, hand rolling wasn't going to work. They needed a better solution. And that's where Smartsheet Control Center came in. Smartsheet Control Center enabled Mod to actually consistently roll out and open literally hundreds of restaurants per year. And earlier this year, Forbes actually named Mod the fastest growing restaurant chain in America. And a part of their growth is powered on Smartsheet. Operating at scale also requires that we meet not just the needs of the business user, but also the needs of IT. And today we offer lots of capabilities to help IT, whether that's single sign-on or SOC 2 Type 2 certifications or administrative controls. But for the IT folks in the audience, you've also told us you'd like to see a little bit more. And so today we're actually announcing 3 new capabilities that are going to, we think, really help you manage better at scale. First is going to be a new directory integration service. The directory integration service will allow you to integrate Smartsheet with your existing Active Directory or Azure AD. This is really powerful because it's going to enable you to auto-provision users into Smartsheet, auto-deprovision users in Smartsheet, and also enable directory synchronization with Smartsheet, which for end users will be powerful because when you look up to share with folks in your organization, you'll actually be able to see an autocomplete on those emails to make sure if there's more than one Bob Smith in your company, you're not inadvertently sharing the wrong information with them. Another part of directory integration is enabling department-level billing. Department-level billing allows you to actually allocate costs and license expense against the different departments in your company that are using Smartsheet. And so with directory integration, if you put your cost center and department-level information into your directory and you choose to sync that with Smartsheet, we'll be able to provide you department-level billing for your organization. And then the third key capability in this space is around improving governance and control. And for that, we're launching a new event monitoring service. This is a service that captures all of the user signal that happens in Smartsheet and gives you a feed of all of that information. There will actually be 2 flavors of this. There'll be a real-time version and an almost real-time version. And those will enable you to plug Smartsheet into your existing processes for data loss prevention, compliance, security, a lot of new powerful capabilities for the IT folks in the crowd. And we think it's really important because as Smartsheet continues to solve business critical use cases, you need to have confidence that the data you put into Smartsheet is secure and managed in a manner that's consistent with how you want to run your company. So all of those capabilities that I just announced are currently in private beta. And if you're interested in learning more, I'd ask that you go down to the Innovation Center after the session and go meet with the team. They can show you where they are in the development process, and you can enroll to participate with them in that beta. Now, last year, we launched something in Control Center that you'd been asking for a while, and that is the ability to do global updates. When you're trying to manage change at scale, it's not just about provisioning that first workflow. Things change, business change, requirements change. You want the ability to actually change those workflows on the fly and propagate those changes to everything that was in flight. Global updates did that, but only for sheets. So we had a few customers suggest to us it might be helpful to do that for reports and dashboards. So today, I'm excited to announce that we will be launching global updates for reports and dashboards, and those will roll out before the end of the year. So you'll be able to actually manage change across all of your Smartsheet assets. Now, I'd like to introduce Ryan Mclaughlin. He's a Senior Manager of Strategy and Innovation at Sunoco. Sunoco has been using Control Center to drive change in their business. And I think he's got a great story I'd like him to share with you. So, Ryan? Thanks, sir.
Appreciate it. Hey, good morning, everybody. I don't know if many people know what Sunoco is or who we are or what we do, but we are a 125-year-old integrated oil and gas company. And in recent years, we've been changing our operating focus. We have been transforming. So at the beginning of this year, we divested over 1,000 of our retail stores to 7-Eleven. And we're on a journey now where we're using our growth, our M&A, and we're going out and we're growing some more and we're buying other companies. Our marketplace is very fragmented and we have a small M&A team. So what they ended up doing was managing a pipeline, a deal pipeline of over 1,000 opportunities. And they were doing this in Excel. And updating executive leadership was a problem because they were translating that giant Excel document to PowerPoint. And I think it's a common journey we all have. So this was repetitive, it was inefficient, it was exhausting. And we needed to innovate and we needed to optimize. So Sunoco needed help to transform its process. And we needed help in a lot of ways working in the century that we live in now. So fortunately, Sunoco had already been using Smartsheet for a couple years, and we turned to them for help. We optimized both our process and how we were doing our pipeline management for our M&A team by using Smartsheet Control Center. We're able to put the pipeline into Smartsheet and leverage Control Center's capability to automate what happens after that and better manage that. And for those of you who know about M&A activity, once you're far enough along in an M&A project, it really turns into a project management. You're managing how that deal evolves and getting that deal across the line. So using Smartsheet Control Center, when we have a deal that is mature enough in our process, we can trigger that deal, and it triggers a milestone, and it creates artifacts and dashboards for that deal that are then integrated into other reporting, other dashboards used by our teams. For this, our big win here was it created a consistent process from deal to deal and helped us automate it. So in terms of our benefit, Sunoco's M&A team minimized their repetitive work and allowed our small team to focus on more valuable activities. And for us, it created a lot of efficiency. In terms of collaboration, we're able to allow all the functions across the company that supported the deal once the deal was far enough along to interact more efficiently, to update those sheets, and to speed that process. Automation, it allows our leadership team to look at the whole portfolio of our deal volume and what's out there in the pipeline and make decisions about where we want to shift focus or what we want to push harder on. So we're doing this, and there's less Excel. And then evaluation. It comes time, you pull the trigger on the deal and flip that switch. And the automation we have here makes assessing the progress, identifying the issues, and then reporting those out easier, so it's less PowerPoint. So I think for us, the win is that our pipeline and managing that is still exhausting, but our deal velocity is increasing. We're allowed to do that because of Smartsheet and Control Center, and we're seeing more exhilaration with that. So I think we're better able to optimize how we work. We're increasing our scale, and we're working as a more digital company now. It's not bad for a 120-year-old company. Thanks, Gene.
Thank you, Ryan. It's always exciting when you see a company that's 125 years old transform and really modernize their business. So really appreciated that. Recently, we chartered our first product advisory council. And we brought together 11 customers from different companies to provide us feedback, because we don't get enough. And we thought this would be a great way to get really, really deep insights into the types of solutions that we could provide next. And in this meeting, I was actually kind of surprised by one of the challenges that this group of folks raised, and it was a challenge that was unanimous and urgent. And that was the problem that you experienced when using Smartsheet to manage certain types of workflows. Specifically, I'm talking about workflows that either contain confidential information, where you don't want to share information broadly with everybody that's involved in the process. You want to be able to tailor the view of the information to the specific audience or workflow and what they need to do with the information. Or for processes that involve large numbers of participants, where sharing everybody to a particular sheet just isn't practical. Too hard to find the information that's relevant. You're not going to ask them to wade through everything. It just makes for a bad user experience, right? And so to tackle this challenge, we've been working on a little something. And so today, we're actually launching a new service. It's a new premium offering called Smartsheet Dynamic View. Dynamic View empowers process owners to actually tailor the view of a process to the specific individuals involved in the workflow. Recently, we had our first customer actually signed up for this, and they're using it for a vendor management use case. They have 160 vendors around the world that they were using Smartsheet to manage. And to do that, they had to have 160 sheets. A little complex, a little heavy, right? With Dynamic View, they can cut that to 2 sheets. And they can tailor the view that each of those vendors gets to just their parts and allow them to provide input just on the things that they need that input on. So we're really, really excited about that. And what I'd like to do is invite Rajiv, who leads our solutions team, to join me on stage to demonstrate how Dynamic View is going to change the lives for our customers.
Thanks, Gene. As process owners, when you're managing a process at scale, it's really important to be able to figure out how each person participates at each point in your process lifecycle. Dynamic View allows you to do that and take sharing one level deeper, down to each cell. To show you that, what we're going to do today is walk you through an example and show you the before and after. So what we have here is our marketing shared services dashboard. This is very similar to what we use internally at Smartsheet, right? The shared services team at Smartsheet helps produce some of those amazing videos you saw today, great-looking websites, and a whole host of other deliverables. As you can see, we've kept them fairly busy. They've already processed over 1,000 requests. They have 132 currently in process. And for each request that they get, it's not that simple to say, oh, you wanted something, here it is. They actually go through a process. And the process involves using designers, developers, content writers. So there's a team of folks that manage this process end to end to produce those quality deliverables.
So Rajiv, show us how a user today would request perhaps a new piece of creative from this development team.
Yeah. So as a person participating in the process, I would start in a form, right? All of you are familiar with how a forms-based experience looks. So I would go in, I'd select some options here, and I submit it. It ends up in a sheet that the team uses to manage not just my requests, but all of the requests in a centralized place.
Wow. So that's a super complex sheet with tons of information. And you've got a lot of folks involved in this process, right? You've got designers, marketing folks, approvers, and then, of course, the requesters. So you don't really want to share them to this whole sheet. And if this contained confidential information, I definitely would not want to share them to the sheet. So show us what it looks like with Dynamic View.
Sure. What we have here is Dynamic View. The process owner has created a simple view that I can use to see just my requests. Right. At this point, I no longer need to have access to the underlying sheet for me to be able to see this view. This view is already filtered down just to my 9 requests. It shows me the category that I have, and I can easily sort this. And when I do this, I don't actually affect anyone else's view. I can also go in and filter this and just look at the one new request I've submitted fairly recently.
So show us the detail when you actually go into one of those requests. What does the user see?
Yeah, so when I click in on those requests, now the process owner can say, okay, I gave you a view to find your item. I can now give you a view to actually get more details. In this case, since it's a new request, I can actually go make some changes. So I can say, I probably need this earlier. So let's try and get that page out tomorrow if possible. And it's that simple. I can actually go make a quick change into my existing request and have it go right back to the team without having to go to email.
So this is really powerful. There's lots of solutions that give you filtered views or lockdown views, but they're not updatable. You're not actually able to invite the participant to engage in the process and provide information. Dynamic View empowers that. Maybe show a little bit of the fine-grained control that we give that process owner.
Yeah. So now let's just take that same example. I want to go update the due date. I see one of these things that's already in progress. Let me go change it. Oh, guess what? The process owner can say, too bad, you can't actually do that. They can now start to control when I can do what changes down to each cell or each field.
Awesome. That is super powerful, and we are really, really excited to see how you're going to use Dynamic View. This is just a quick sneak peek into the end user experience. There's a lot of power under the hood in how the process owner actually can configure those workflows and change those views. So I would encourage all of you, if you're interested, please stop by the Innovation Center to the Dynamic View booth, and the team can walk you through exactly how you can use this powerful new tool. And that's available today. So thanks, Rajiv.
Thanks, Jay.
Wow, that went fast. Let's recap where we are, shall we? So with the new scale capabilities, Dynamic View is available today. We have several powerful new enterprise scale capabilities that are available in private beta. Oh, I guess we don't have that slide. And then coming soon, we have Control Center global updates and dashboards and reporting. So a lot of empowerment, a little bit of speed, and a little bit of scale. We're really, really excited about these new capabilities and what we think they can do for your business. Now I'd like to invite Mark up to bring us home. Thanks, bud. Yep.
Okay, so we're at the bottom of the hour, and so whether it is something that sparked when I was sharing stories with you or something that Gene and company shared with us, I think one of the challenges when we're given a lot of things, okay, we have all those arrows in our quiver, now we have to do something with it. So I encourage you to go learn more. Again, our team is on site, ready to teach and ready to energize you. And if you need a bit of inspiration, you should go to that lunch with Ed. He will inspire you, and then go have those discussions. As we did last year, one of the things we're going to do tomorrow morning again is we're going to do a panel with some of our senior execs. So tonight, think about what questions you want to ask us. Health of the business, state of the market, future vision for Smartsheet, and we're going to take those questions for a few minutes tomorrow morning before our keynote speaker. So with that, let's have a great Engage, and thanks again for being here.
Don't throw away your basic needs and the vanity.